Hey guys, TGKS Productions. So with all GTA Online DLCs, there's usually changes, improvements, and typically even nerfs in some cases, and that's what this video is going to cover for the Los Santos Drug Wars DLC. So let's first start off with the nerfs because these weren't really directly mentioned in the patch notes. In fact, it's kind of funny how shifty Rockstar can be when they nerf certain things in GTA Online that may not exactly be what players would want nerfed, I guess you could say. But starting off, we have the Sterling GT is no longer bulletproof. I believe that a couple updates ago, the Kuruma had the same problem, the non-armored one. That was eventually patched, and now this is patched. A huge one here is the Pegasi Torador can no longer be used in heist setups or finals. I know personally this was definitely a big help this past heist month with, I believe, the Bodkin problem final, and then I know with the Avi Schwartzman setup in the Pacific Standard job. So unfortunately this won't be able to be used anymore. I believe it's really one of the only amphibious vehicles you could use in the heist, which I would say partly what made this a big help. But I guess we still have the Vigilante for speed purposes, but at least we also still have the Kuruma as well. And moving on to more of the changes and improvements that came with this DLC, solo sessions have been removed from the game. Personally, I found myself really never in a solo session. And for anyone who ever really wants to play solo, you can just go in an invite-only session and set your console status to like busy or offline. So I don't really think this is a huge change for the game. And speaking of sessions, if you're joining a close friend session, crew session, or invite-only session from story mode, ever since Criminal Enterprise DLC, there seemed to be a bug where it would say like you didn't have a character. In fact, even when E&E released, I believe there was even an issue where if you try to join a online session from story mode, it would say you were like a mod or you could risk getting banned. It was something ridiculous, but it seems like all those issues as of now been worked out. But more importantly, joining a like close friend session, invite only session, or crew session from story mode, which is nice because from the main menu you could not do this, which hopefully that'll end up being a change in the future as well. Now the option to choose phone contact favorites in inventory section of your interaction menu. Essentially, if you have the contact checked, they will show up in your contact list in your phone. If they aren't checked, they won't show up in the contact list in your phone. The only ones you can't uncheck are Young Ancestor, oddly I don't know why, and then your Mechanic and Moore's Mutual, which would make sense. And keep in mind, just because you might have a contact unchecked, it doesn't mean they still can't contact you via notification, text message, or call. You now have the option to complete all 6 casino story missions solo. You can now request bicycles from your mechanic, which may not be the best way to travel around town, but there are some cool skate parks that you can get your bicycle more quickly delivered to you to enjoy them. Purchase vehicles delivery times have now been cut in half, where before it took around 2 minutes to receive your personal vehicle, now it takes around 1. The map blip options and the interaction menu has been updated, with the hide all option being reintroduced for the individual categories. The next 2 changes and improvements I'm going to mention are solely for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S players. Starting with the first one, you no longer have to complete the How Special Works intro in order to be able to partake in the How Special Works mod shop in the LS Car Meet. This can definitely be nice for any newer players joining out of these consoles, because we just received a new vehicle in this update that can be upgraded in the How Special Works mod shop, the Overflawed Entity MT. The second change for the PS5 and Xbox Series X players is the Ray Trace Reflection. Now this can only be utilized if you're in Fidelity mode. I notice it seems like your glasses may glitch a little bit when you're seeing your reflection, almost like as if they're not on. Personally, I'm probably still going to stay in Performance RT because I like that FPS increase. Now this tech change and improvement is definitely a big one. It has to do with Smuggler Run cell missions being tripled. Now this pay for these cell missions has always been horrible, even with weekly bonuses, just really never worth the grind. However, I would say arguably now, even without a bonus, these would be something worth grinding for. Just giving you an idea how much you could make. If you source 50 of the top paying crates, which would either be 50 narcotics, 50 chemicals, or 50 medical supplies, you could earn $2,550,000 just for selling those 50 crates. However, if you were to sell in a public session with up to 25 rival players, you could earn an additional $1,275,000, which would be a grand total of $3,825,000, which is just insane. So definitely kudos to Rockstar for that change there. Definitely arguably one of the best business changes they have added yet. And speaking of business changes, Rockstar has also added a high demand bonus for selling vehicle cargo in public lobbies. Giving you an idea how much you can make, or even the most you can make off of vehicle cargo sale. If you were selling a top range vehicle, you had no damage on it, you would earn $150,000 as long as there were 25 rival players in the lobby. That's with that 2% bonus that was added ever since Criminal Enterprise DLC. And essentially, that'd be like $130,000 profit. Not bad at all. And even if you wanted to sell in public lobbies all the time, you could just ghost the vehicle. You'd be spending an additional $12,000, but you'd still could be earning around $118,000 just by selling in public lobbies. It's probably one of the easiest sales and safest sales to do so because they're quick. You can easily ghost them, but definitely another great business change. And continuing on the business path of changes and improvements in this update, this is more of a fix. We can now again start special cargo source missions from your terabyte in private lobbies. This was disabled really ever since the Criminal Enterprise DLC, and now this has been fixed. And moving away from the business changes and improvements, you can now utilize Ocelot Ardent in races, which not sure why it took this long. This vehicle is over 5 years old. I can't even see really too many players want to utilize it. It's a pretty outdated vehicle as far as competitiveness is concerned. There's also been a ton of creator updates, including the ability to create how special works races in the creator, and then also a ton of deathmatch changes and improvements, which is nice because as Drift content with the Chrono Enterprise DLC, there was a lot of deathmatch additions to the creator, so it's nice that Rockstar's keeping up with that. I'm not going to list everything regarding the changes and improvements through the creator as well as the rest of the patch notes. I merely wanted to highlight the most significant ones that came with this DLC. I will leave a link in the description if you want to check out the entire list of patch notes that came with this DLC. Of course, some of what I mentioned in this video wasn't in the patch notes, as I say in the beginning of this video. But as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it extremely beneficial. Please hit the like, subscribe, share it. As always, have a great day.